In the vast expanse of the world's oceans, power is not just measured in firepower, but in presence. The ability to project strength, to respond to crises, and to shape global events often begins far from land, on the decks of ships flying the American flag. Today, the United States Navy operates across every ocean with unmatched reach and capability. But this dominance was not always guaranteed. It was built deliberately through a strategy that transformed the U.S. from a continental power into a global force. This is the story of how a bold naval vision forged over a century ago gave the United States its global reach and changed the course of world history. In the early 1800s, the United States Navy was modest, focused primarily on coastal defense and protecting merchant ships. The young republic had no imperial ambitions and little interest in overseas bases. But as the 19th century progressed, a new reality emerged. Industrialization demanded access to global markets. American ships needed safe harbors abroad, and the rise of European empires made it clear a nation without a strong navy would be left behind. Enter Alfred Thayer Mahan. A naval officer and historian, Mahan argued that control of the seas was the key to national greatness. His ideas electrified policymakers. Sea power, he wrote, was not just about battles, it was about commerce, bases, and the ability to move forces anywhere in the world. Mahan's vision would become the blueprint for America's rise as a maritime power. By the turn of the 20th century, the United States began building a blue water navy capable of operating far from home shores. The Spanish-American War in 1898 tested this new force. The U.S. Navy crushed Spanish fleets in both the Caribbean and the Pacific, signaling a new era. But victory brought more than territory. It brought responsibility. The Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico became strategic outposts. To protect them, the U.S. needed a permanent presence in distant waters. The opening of the Panama Canal in 1914 was a masterstroke of naval strategy. It allowed the U.S. to shift fleets between oceans in days instead of weeks, an advantage no other power possessed. From this point forward, the United States was no longer a regional actor. It was a Pacific and Atlantic power simultaneously. World War II would put America's naval strategy to the ultimate test. In the Pacific, vast distances separated island chains. The Japanese Navy had seized key positions. The U.S. response? A strategy of island hopping, enabled entirely by naval power. Aircraft carriers became floating air bases. Amphibious ships delivered Marines to hostile shores. Submarines choked off enemy supply lines. The U.S. Navy didn't just support the war, it shaped its outcome. In Europe, American convoys, escorted by destroyers and cruisers, kept Britain supplied and prepared the way for the D-Day invasion. Again, sea power proved decisive. By 1945, the United States had the largest and most advanced navy the world had ever seen. In the Cold War, the oceans became a chessboard. The U.S. Navy's mission evolved from defeating fleets to deterring nuclear war. Ballistic missile submarines patrolled silently beneath the waves, ensuring second strike capability. Carrier strike groups projected power in every hemisphere, and a global network of bases, from Rota to Yokosuka, ensured the Navy could respond anywhere, anytime. Unlike the Soviet Navy, which remained largely regional, the U.S. Navy maintained true global reach. It wasn't just about having ships, it was about where they could go, how long they could stay, and what they could do when they got there. Today, the U.S. Navy remains the only force capable of sustained global operations. Its reach is not just military, it's strategic, diplomatic, and humanitarian. When disaster strikes, American ships are often first on the scene. When piracy threatens trade, U.S. destroyers patrol the lanes. And when tensions rise, the presence of a U.S. carrier group can stabilize entire regions. This global reach is not accidental. It is the result of a century of deliberate strategy, rooted in Mahan's vision, enabled by industrial might, and sustained by a network of alliances and bases. Other nations have sought to replicate this model, but with limits. China has expanded its navy rapidly, yet lacks the global basing infrastructure. Russia maintains powerful submarines, but its surface fleet is constrained by geography and logistics. In contrast, the U.S. Navy operates forward by design. Its ships are not just symbols, they're tools of policy, deterrence, and reassurance. This approach has allowed the United States to shape events far from its shores, often without firing a shot. The oceans have always connected the world, but only a few nations have mastered them. For the United States, sea power became more than a military asset. It became a foundation of global influence, economic security, and national identity. From wooden frigates to nuclear-powered carriers, from coastal patrols to global presence, the journey was not inevitable. It was strategic. And it raises a timeless question. In a world that is constantly changing, will the ability to command the seas remain the key to shaping the future? Only time and history will tell. Fade to black. End credits.